This is a story about the Koba Institute, founded more than 40 years ago, but for the last 20 years devoting itself to a generation of adolescents whose lack of education, motivation, direction, and opportunity requires dramatic intervention. And we have tried to provide some of that intervention by focusing our attention on the enormous social problem of, of these kids who do not have a high school education and therefore have very few options in life. The program that we have set up to do this is called the Mansion at Focus Point. It is a therapeutic family home in which kids from juvenile agencies or social service agencies are sent by various state and local governments to our program to provide them with the support that they need to be able to take their next step in life. Our program is really focused on residential care as a primary thing. The kids live in our homes, are fed, they're clothed, they're provided for in every respect. But one of the things that we emphasize most of all is about the importance of getting a high school degree. There's so many of these children and adolescents primarily who come to our program and they've simply dropped out of high school. Most have dropped out because they just have not been able to keep up with the class, and therefore they show behavioral problems or emotional problems which cause them to be sent out of class and therefore not able to be successful. We provide clinical therapies, behavioral management. Many kids suffer from substance abuse, and all of these clinical aspects of the program are led by our staff psychiatrists. We facilitate what happens through community meetings, provide enormous incentives to try to get them moving again, individual plans for service. So it is essentially a residential therapeutic program with a high emphasis on education. We have now got ourselves in a struggle with a state agency that has chosen to try to literally shut us down. They have consistently abused their own laws. They have broken their own laws. We have had a highly rated program for more than 20 years, receiving some of the highest evaluations from all of the 4 different state agencies with which we work. However, the government has decided, because we have challenged them on how they have handled many of their kids, yanking them out of programs, creating great problems for them, they have launched an effort to try to shut our program down. It's resulted in the loss of 50 jobs and the benefits for families. The court has even recently ruled that stopping the state from breaking their own laws is a matter of public interest. These kinds of abuses of government authority could happen to anyone, and that's why we're turning to the public to say, stand with us so that we can fight this thing. This is a government out of control in which the people who have been involved have in a sense been caught breaking their own laws, and now they are involved in a struggle. But the courts have seen through what they're doing, and they literally have issued a preliminary injunction saying to the state, you must stop violating your own laws. The program, the educational program that I spoke about, that we are so very proud of and that is at the heart of a lot of the therapeutic work that we do, is called the Accelerated Achievement Academy. The kids that come to us have to complete a very, very tough 24-hour units of learning. Some of these kids are just absolutely brilliant, but they have not been challenged, or they are trying to kind of stay with their peers and act kind of big and bad by actually not doing very well. But we have many of these kids have successfully completed the program, and we've even developed their own graduation. The families who saw their own kids as being dropouts simply have been elated at the fact that they've been able to receive high school diplomas, and these are some of the first kids that received diplomas in our program. The families that came to share this time with them were just overjoyed that their kids finally made it through. And of course we had our cake, and the kids really, really celebrated and enjoyed this. It was an extremely important thing. And this brings meaning to the lives of these kids who have, in a sense, really given up. They've dropped out of school. They don't really have a lot of ambition, but we were able to get them back on track. And many of them are now in vocational schools. They wanted to be drivers. Some are even now enrolling and trying to apply to go to different colleges. So, but this whole struggle has occurred, as I indicated, because the state government yanked kids out of the program without any reason at all. One of these children that was yanked out was very psychologically fragile. The moment he was pulled out and put in another group home, he ran from that group home. One of our staff saw him being arrested by by police, and we were informed that this kid is now in a mental institution because of it. We had a male and female resident that were yanked from the program. These are just shows of force and power because we opposed this kind of government manipulation of these kids to essentially really show their own power. We had one male resident who was 1 unit away from getting his high school diploma, was yanked out of school, and couldn't understand it. He really was saying, "What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?" And it was just such an incredibly sad thing. But he literally gave up. We tried to continue him in his diploma program, even though they had pulled him out of our program because of their dispute with our opposition to their just yanking kids out without any preparation at all. The kid simply gave up. Another young lady who was caught in the same situation, she also was pulled from the program. We've had kids yanked from the program by administrators, and one kid tried to commit suicide. These are the kinds of things that we have found where government agencies, in their, I guess, zest or use of manipulation of these kids, can actually hurt them. We opposed it, and that's why they, in a sense, have been trying to close us down. So the origin of this whole conflict that we're having with the state is the fact that we wrote a letter opposing this kind of psychological harm that states, in utilizing the enormous power of the state, are manipulating the kids. They were removing them from programs without any notice, no preparation. Literally the same day that they were going to yank them, they just came by and pulled the kids out. And it was clearly a show of power because we had been opposing some of these things and challenging them on the breaking and violations of their own laws. And there were just major violations of Maryland regulations. We exposed this stuff, and the agencies, in a show of power, simply decided, well, we'll just shut these people up. And in a punitive and vindictive manner, they simply came at us. And these things, as indicated, were seen by the courts. The courts have seen through this use of power and have issued a temporary restraining order, a stay of execution of their desires to close our program down, a preliminary injunction where they literally cited the state for violation of numerous regulations. And the state, I guess now, they're feeling very defensive. And so they're doing everything that they can do to shut us down and shut us up. And we simply have had to now for this assistance. So they have broken virtually every regulation that they have in their attempts to do it. They're protecting their own interests. They've rejected the concerns we've expressed about how these kids are handled. This action is found by the circuit court to be in substantial violation of Maryland regulations that govern the suspension or revocation of contracts. Of licenses. They simply have completely ignored. They are supposed to, if they want to seek revocation of a license, they have to do an extensive investigation of any complaints. They have to offer an opportunity to correct the problems. Every single step in this thing was completely overlooked, and we have always had very, very, very high ratings from all of the agencies. In fact, the last ratings we received from one of the 4 agencies we got virtually a perfect score. Even the agency that's trying to revoke our licenses, the only problems they found in all 5 of our group homes was the lack of an insulation strip underneath a door. And very, very minor things. But the bottom line here is that they simply are doing whatever they want to do. They follow whatever laws they want to follow, and no one typically, I guess, challenges them. We have chosen to challenge them because of the impact their actions have had on the kids that we're trying to serve. This is a picture of one of our group homes that they're trying to close down. And they simply have written to 24 different agencies telling them not to refer any kids. Essentially, they just want to freeze the program out. But we try to set our programs up in beautiful homes where kids can have a different view of what the possibilities are. But unfortunately, they have been successful because they've frozen any new referrals to our programs. We have had to close down one of the girls' group homes, and we've had to to move to a new facility, which we're going to be asking for your assistance in helping us to set up so that we can continue our efforts at helping these children have a new life and a new set of opportunities. This was an earlier picture of the same group home that we were forced to close, and these are the things that happen when states essentially get out of control. This abuse of authority, this sovereign immunity that states exhibit, very often can get misused. And if anyone who knows people that have had or been pursued by governments in the excessive use of their power will understand what we're talking about. This is another group home that we still have, and we're trying to get moving again. But again, we need your help to try to help us hold on and be able to continue with our programs. This is another group home that we did have to close down because we simply didn't have new referrals to get it going again. But fortunately, as I indicated, we do have another facility that we are in the process of renovating. The last preliminary injunction, just to show that it is the state that is out of control. These are the actual statements in the preliminary injunction. The court ruled that the plaintiff, Koba, is likely to succeed on the merits of its claims, that the defendant, Maryland Department of Human Resources, failed to follow governing administrative regulations in the notice, violation, and sanctions process employed by the agency. And they even cited the specific regulations that they're violating. They ordered that our preliminary injunction was granted, and in some of the most extraordinary findings that a court has had, they ordered that the defendant or any of its agents are enjoined from announcing that no referrals are to be sent to Koba. They were sending letters around telling agencies, don't send kids to this program, even though all of these agencies wanted to and were accustomed to receiving enormously very good services from us. In fact, the earlier administrative rulings was so much in violation of the law that the court ordered that the defendant, Maryland Department of Human Resources, or any of its agents were enjoined from even considering the ruling of the administrative hearing because it was so skewed. So the agency is vigorously fighting these rulings. This case will go forward, and we need your support to fight this kind of abuse of authority. When governments get out of control and when they start using and manipulating their own laws to shut companies down, it has an enormous impact, obviously, on the community, on the people, and most of all on the kids we're trying to serve. But fortunately, we do have another facility, a residential, rather a school that we built some time ago that we are able now to renovate into a residential program for youth. Work to do on it. The facility is a little bit old. It needs to be renovated inside and many things fixed up in it. We need your help to do that so that we can get our program resumed in this other facility where we can be relicensed and we can continue to receive kids into our program. This is the larger front of the building that we are going to be renovating. We're very fortunate to have this facility that we can move the program into, but we do have a lot of work to do. So we're asking for your support to help us reach our goal of $450,000 so that we can rehire and stabilize our staff and our organization, because the state has forced layoffs and the closing of some of our group homes. We have to renovate this facility where we can rescue adolescents with these high school diplomas, which are essential to providing them with the change of life. And in fact, equally important, it's to fight this state government abuse of power. When governments can get away with this stuff, they tend to believe that no one will challenge them. And it's not just in Maryland. These kinds of abuses occur in state and local governments around the country. But we're trying to help change that by setting a legal precedent that will also hopefully protect other people in the future. So in any event, this is the effort that we're asking. We need your help to do this. We definitely think that our cause is much larger than simply ourselves. We need the help of everyone to assist us in meeting these. And so we're asking you to stand with us today in helping us to raise funds for our legal defense fund, for our focus point, our Koba focus point rebuilding program, and to help these kids continue to get diplomas, providing them with residential services, living space, teaching them about life skills, and how to make it in a world where they've had little preparation and very little opportunity to go forward unless they receive this kind of help. So we appreciate your listening to this, and we do ask you to look at the site, look at our program, and please visit our site. It's www.kobainstitute.org, and if you go there, you'll see some of the work that we've done. Not only the 20 years where we've run these residential programs, but over the 40 years that we have actually been providing services in the area of human services in a whole variety of different areas. So we thank you again for your attention, and we do ask for your support.